Hey guys, well, I guess it's only been like just over a week since I last filmed. But yeah, this is my weekly update. This is the update after Booktubeathon happened. I completely failed at Booktubeathon. I ended up working about 50 hours that week, and then I had to fly to Michigan for my father's memorial, so I didn't read at all because I was with my family and like cleaning out his house and stuff the whole time. So I also wanted to mention that I tried doing a book haul of like the books that I took from his house, but it made me like so incredibly sad. I feel like, I mean, I'm starting to kind of like realize more that it's like a real thing that has happened and not just like, some fake thing. Um, and something about it's kind of the same feeling that I had when I was unboxing all of like my read books. That it's just like it felt like dirty, kind of, I guess, because it's like, oh, my dad died, but look at all these books that I got. Like I don't know, like I feel kind of gross about it, but I did get some really really amazing books from his house, so I do want to share them with you. So what I think I'm gonna do now is at the end of each of my weekly updates, I'm going to show like 5 or 6 books or something that I got from his house. I might skip ones that are like boring or something, but so I've got some to show you at the end after I talk about the one book that I read during Booktubeathon. But this way I can kind of like, show a little bit. My dad had super, super interesting books. I wish I could have kept more of them, but obviously that's not super realistic based on the like distance between our homes. Um, and yeah, especially because he like spent basically his whole life like collecting these books, like travel books and stuff. So I will be showing you some of those at the end of this video. So the one and only book that I read during Booktubeathon was The Black Lake by Hella Haas, and this is translated by Ina Rilk. This was really good. So it's a small Dutch book. She's, I believe, a very well-known author. I think I actually picked this up. I picked this up while I was in the Netherlands in 2015 during my European trip. I think Yamini from The Skeptical Reader and Kirsty from Kirsty on Books, or I think she changed her channel name recently, they did like this 50 women to read list, and so she was one of the people on the list, and so I made a point to pick up one of her books while I was there because you know how I like lists. So I didn't know anything about this book before I picked it up, and it was really enjoyable. I think I gave it 4 stars, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of like a mixture of I feel like I hear something very strange. I don't know what that is. I need to hurry up in just a second and investigate. It's a very weird noise. But it's between the Kite Runner kind of and the Elena Ferrante series. Oh my gosh, My Brilliant Friend. It's a story of 2 boys and they're growing up together. One of them is native to the Indies. I believe it's the Indies. They mention like a bunch of places kind of where they live, but as Java. So Java, and then that was a colony of the Dutch, and so there's like the colonizer, I guess, and then his son, and the mom of the boy becomes friends with like the groundskeeper, I guess, her, and the two of them are kind of pregnant at the same time, and one of the boys is born just before the other. I think the Dutch boy is a little bit older maybe than the Java boy. I mean, they're both from Java kind of because they both grew up there. But it was super interesting. It definitely, the second that I started reading it, it felt to me a little bit like My Brilliant Friend, kind of how simply it's written, and it definitely feels like it's told from it's like basically the boy, I guess at this point, the Dutch man, like writing back on his friendship with this boy growing up, and their relationship and like the tension that develops as they get older, because there is like this very distinct class and race difference between the two of them, even though they grew up together as like friends. And so, from his perspective, they're like really close and da 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 and whatever. But then you see kind of how that shifts and how as the tensions between the two like groups of people kind of develops, how that strains their relationship. And it doesn't feel like a very emotional book. Again, it's written like My Brilliant Friend. I do think My Brilliant Friend is very emotional, but it doesn't have that like very like flowery kind of writing, I guess. Like it's very simple. It's just a man telling you his story, and it's a really really good story, and it really does, because it's like, oh, like he basically like can put like not spells on people, but he's so charismatic and people like are just drawn to helping the boy whose name is Orog, I think. I can't pronounce it, but it's Oeroeg. I don't know how to pronounce that, so sorry. But yeah, it was really good. And there's a bunch of words at the back too. That sorry. There's a glossary at the back of the book because she does put in, see, it says the Dutch spelling of place names and vernacular words have been retained. There was no standard spelling of the strain of Malay spoken in the East Indies at the time. The Dutch devised their own spelling. So there's a bunch of words, which I think is great because you know how whenever you're reading, it's always like Spanish words and French words and Italian words, and it's like you're supposed to, I mean, I do know what they are, but I feel like it's like, you know, you just have to be able to speak French in order to read most like literature or whatever. So it's nice reading books that are not those traditional like languages and having words from that. So I think also Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie did this in Americana, and then oh my gosh, Ruth Ozeki did this in A Tale for the Time Being as well. So I really appreciated that. And I don't know, I thought it was really good. It was very short. I tried to read this. This was supposed to be for my read a book in one day, but it took me more than one day just because I was reading so much. I definitely recommend it if you want kind of like a different, you know, a different setting. I feel like this is not like a very common setting that people talk about or read about on BookTube, and yeah, it was very good. I'm definitely going to read more of Hella Haas's books. I think I'm pronouncing her name properly. And the only other book that I started was Negroland by Margot Jefferson, and holy crap, excuse me, holy cow, this book is phenomenal so far. The writing, her language is just, you know when you can just, like when you're watching BookTube, you know when you're just watching someone, you're like, man, that person is so smart. You can just tell by how succinct they are, the word choices that they make, like, oh gosh, I can't think of her name, but like insert literary pun here, and Winnie from All the Shelves, and Climb the Stacks. Like, you know, just people, I'm not to say that everyone isn't intelligent, but I just feel like you can really sense when someone has a very, very strong grasp of the English language and how to use words exactly how they need to be used in that specific setting. Like you can, it's so good. The writing is incredible. It's definitely, it feels like kind of an essay situation so far. So far she's just talked about different, like the very, very beginning, I guess, of like Black history kind of in the U.S. And like different women, or not different, sorry, I just opened this as a woman, different people who were like considered like the Black elite, like back in the day, and how, you know, certain slaves kind of like got that position because of like their ranking, because everyone's ranked all the time in life. That's just how life is. And so, you know, slaves are ranked, and I think also talking about how like the freed Black people, they became like community leaders, and like the higher ranking Black slaves would like certain like roles in the social order and stuff. And so I just, it's super good so far. She was it was like this talking about how, you know, once it became legal, or I guess not, I don't know, it was really wild because it was talking about how after the Emancipation Proclamation, Black men were able to be in the army. So like they weren't even allowed to fight for their own, like not even for the Union, which is crazy. I don't know very much about the Civil War because I was never like a really big history person. I just, you know about it a little, but I didn't know that detail, which I found super fascinating. And she talked at some point too about how, you know, when there's a Black man with a white woman, like automatically the Black man must be raping her. And it's infuriating because of how many white men raped their Black slave ladies, and like just sorry, just in general, okay, white men feel like they can just, and this is, you know, whatever, not all white men, you know what I'm saying. The point is that like there's this thing that people have that like if a Black man and a white man or a white woman are together, it must be against her will. And it's like, are you like kidding me? Literally. Sorry. It's just so upsetting. But yeah, it's really, really well written so far, and I can't wait to finish it. I feel like I'm probably gonna read this over kind of a long period of time, like maybe read like 1 or 2 chapters like here and there, just because it's so good. I kind of don't want it to end. I'm really, really happy that I picked this up. Okay, so those are the only things that I've accomplished since the last time that I saw you. This video is already super long because I'm a rambling rambler, so I'm just going to show you some books really fast. This first thing that I have is in what I think is German, but might be Dutch. I think Dutch. It's probably Dutch. My dad used to live in the Netherlands, so my love of traveling comes from my father. And this is just, you know, some kind of, it looks like Europe in the 1700s or something. So there's like some photography of, so that's Cologne and Haarlem. Oh, Haarlem. So my dad's friend Paul lives in Haarlem. I love Haarlem. It's a very good, oh my gosh, I keep getting emails. This is super irritating. But yeah, so this is very exciting and cool. And then this one is Pictorial History of Morals. There is no Dutch jacket, but it's basically like great lovers, and then it just has, you know, pictures and text. So it's kind of like a art plus history type situation. Also, all of my dad's books smell like cigar smoke because he smoked in his house, so it's kind of just got a waft of it. This one is Off the Beaten Path, a guide to more than 1,000 scenic and interesting places, still uncrowded and inviting. This is from Reader's Digest, so that is exciting. Oh, so I guess this is a book that actually belonged to my grandfather that my uncle and his wife at the time, they got for him, so that's exciting. So hopefully they don't mind that I took this. But yeah, I am very excited about that as well. And then there is this atlas. This also might be Dutch. Oh, I'm not great at telling. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Dutch. So it's just an atlas, but it is a Dutch atlas. And yeah, okay, great. And then there's this like weird magazines. Yeah, some of these things might have belonged to my grandparents. I'm not really sure because my dad lived in the house that my grandparents lived in. And this is America's Favorite National Parks. It is one of my goals to visit all of the national parks before I die. We'll see if that happens. And then this last thing isn't a book. I also think that this is probably Dutch. If you are Dutch, let me know, please. Okay, great. I don't know if my father ever spoke Dutch, but he must have. I'm not sure. So this is like posters or something. Hold on. Yeah, so like paintings, like a poster painting situation from Georg Mueller. I don't know. Looks like some kind of architecture thing. I wasn't really sure, but I just thought that I should take that. So yeah, that is all for today. I will hopefully do my giveaway, like the winner of my giveaway, at some point this week before next week's weekly wrap up. Sorry, but you know, shit happens. Okay. Let me know if you have read either of these books, and I will talk to you later. Okay.